The Imsa GTD Pro class is some of the closest and hardest racing on the 2023 grid. Consisting mainly of professional factory drivers, it features some of the quickest drivers in the world. Buckle up as I take you through everything that you need to know about the GTD Pro class. GT Daytona Pro, or for short GTD Pro, is one of the two classes in the Imsa WeatherTech Sports Car Championship that features GT3 spec machinery. GTD Pro is an evolution of the GTLM class that previously competed in the Imsa WeatherTech Sports Car Championship up until the end of the 2021 season. Like GTLM was, GTD Pro is focused on professional drivers and factory-run teams, making it a great place for manufacturers to showcase the best drivers in their stable. Now, GT3 cars bear a very heavy resemblance to their road-going counterparts, but they are indeed full-on race cars and are optimized for performance on the track. All of the cars that compete in the category undergo a homologation. All of the cars that compete out on track go through a homologation process with the FIA. This means that manufacturers and not the teams send their car to the sanctioning body for approval and to make sure that it meets all of the technical specifications. Since all manufacturers that compete in the class have to undergo this FIA homologation process, this creates a very level playing field for all teams and manufacturers. However, they are still not completely equal. At the end of the day, the cars are made to resemble their road-going counterpart. So they can have things like different engine sizes, different engine positioning, different bits of aerodynamics, and ultimately lead to different handling. This does result in some cars, even after this homologation process, being slightly faster on different tracks. Now, this slightly unfair advantage is overcome by a BOP, or balance of performance. This BOP is used to further even the playing field, and it can change from track to track to ensure that the cars are as close as possible to one another in terms of performance. This BOP is accomplished by adjusting car parameters such as horsepower, weight, engine management, and aerodynamics. This combination of BOP and the homologation process ensures that one manufacturer does not have a large advantage over the others. This also goes a long way to keep costs in check for many of the teams. Unlike in a series like Formula 1, where teams are always competing to find every little bit of performance that they can out of the cars by engineering different parts or by adjusting different areas of the car, the performance of these GT3 spec cars remain relatively unchanged. This is because, again, any changes that are done to these cars by the manufacturers have to go through a homologation process that brings it back down to a level playing field. This means that manufacturers and teams are not having to constantly work to catch up to some of these creative innovations like you might see on the Formula 1 grid. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to crash your thumb into that like button. For the average fan, the GTD Pro class features the most recognizable cars out on track due to their very close resemblance to their road-going counterparts. These GT3 spec cars are almost always the slowest cars that are on the grid for one of the Imsa WeatherTech Sports Car Championship races, but you do often find the GTD Pro category drivers being ahead of the GTD drivers, mostly on the basis that the drivers in the GTD Pro class are the cream of the crop. They are the professional drivers being employed by factory teams, and thus they are some of the quickest drivers in the world. Like the GTD class, they do both feature ABS and traction control, but unlike the GTD class, the GTD Pro class features an all-professional driver lineup. These drivers are usually factory-sponsored drivers and are among the best in the world. There is some very good manufacturer representation in the GTD Pro class. The class features the Aston Martin Vantage AMR GT3, the Chevrolet Corvette C8R, the Ferrari 296 GT3, which is one of 3 new cars on the Imsa grid this year, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2, which is the second new GT car on the grid, the Lexus RCF GT3, the Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo, and the final new car on the grid, the Type 992 Porsche 911 GT3R. Now, you can identify a GTD Pro car by the illuminated red number box on the side of the car or the red mirrors that are also on the side of the car. Also, it's pretty normal to see there be lights that are on the car. These are especially noticeable at night, and oftentimes in the GTD Pro class, these lights will be red to help spotters as well as fans identify which car is who on track. Now, one of the great things about these GT3 spec cars is that they can be raced in a variety of series or races all around the world. Because of the nature of the factory teams that are entered and these truly professional drivers on the grid, you will frequently see some of these drivers compete in some of the most competitive races in the world, such as the Nürburgring 24 Hours and the 24 Hours of Spa. With the growing popularity of GT racing, it is very common to see many of these drivers competing all over the world. As I mentioned earlier, GTD Pro is not the only class of GT racing on the Imsa grid in 2023. GTD is the other category, and you can learn all about that right here. I'd like to give a big shout out to all of our early Patreon supporters. If you too want to support the show, you can head over to patreon.com/offintheesses. Once again, thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great race weekend and doesn't go off in the S's.